Yeah. Oops.
And okay, I'm just gonna let that truck pass before I do my intro. That was a loud truck. Okay, here we go. We are. I'm not even recording.
Sort yourself out.
My brain needs to be on a platter. That was the last story we read. Hey, that was low-hanging fruit. Low-hanging fruit. Okay, I pressed record. Are you recording?
I'm recording.
Let's do our 10 seconds of as much silence as we can get to make for easy editing.
What great timing. Right, 10 seconds.
He's the guy with the radio.
Oh, really? Stupid guy.
Okay.
10 seconds.
Okay, there's our 10 seconds. I think he's going to come back. Okie dokie. We are live. Welcome to the Bradbury Challenge, the podcast where three writers attempt to write one short story each week. Unfortunately, Chrissy is out for the day, so it's just Gerald and me, Maya. So, given the past week, I'm not going to ask how you're doing. I'm just going to say, how's your writing?
Pretty poor. Pretty poor.
What do you mean pretty poor?
It's nothing. That's writing very little. Certainly no short stuff. And
I thought you were doing NaNoWriMo.
I am doing NaNoWriMo, but that's my daughter came to stay for a couple of days, and so didn't do any writing then, and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's been. I mean, I'm still motivated to write for NaNoWriMo, but just haven't been bothered.
Are you behind on your words?
Oh yes,
horrifically behind.
Yeah, about 5,000. No, I think about 8,000 actually. But that's all right. I can catch up.
Yeah. Well, I don't remember if we talked about this last week, but I decided that I not to do NaNoWriMo this year. I started out the first couple days, and then I realized that it was taking away so much time from getting my carve story ready and from revising my novel that I just chucked it, and I'm much happier for it. My writing went really well. I didn't finish any new stories. I did work on my sex doll story, and I realized that I was putting up too many barriers to really get to the meat of the emotions in the story. And so I've done a lot of thinking, and I'm going to go down to the library today and just dive in. And then for the story I'm sending to Carve, I did a lot of revision on it. And then I sent it to somebody here who publishes short stories, and I asked him, do you think my revision is done? Is it ready for me to copy edit it? And he was like, yeah, the changes you made, I love them. It's totally ready for you to go through it and copy edit it. So that's what I'm going to do today. And I'm really looking forward to sending that in. That said, Carve Magazine extended their deadline, Gerald.
Woo! Yay.
So you got to the end of the month, so get on it.
Loads of time. I will. I can't remember what I was going to do. I think there's.
Well, you had a story picked out. You said that you were writing something and that you liked it and you thought it would work for Carve. So I think you just need to finish that and then revise away, and you're ready to go.
Good to go. Okay, I will do that.
It's much easier too because they don't demand like huge like cover letters and stuff. It's a blind submission, so you don't even put like your name on the paper. You only put it on the cover letter, and it's just like one sentence. Yeah. It's a really easy submission process.
Okay.
Yeah, good. I'm looking forward to it. So, have you had any epiphanies this week about your writing? Any new adventures?
No, I think that's the thing about NaNoWriMo. You get so deeply involved in it, and I didn't plan as thoroughly as I usually did this time. So I sort of don't know how much have I done? About 15,000, something like that. So I'd sort of got to about where I'd planned to. So I had to, in part of the sort of downtime, I've been thinking about the story, and I've planned the next, I don't know, I suppose quarter of the story. So so yeah, ready to just crash out those words now. So it's pretty good. Although I'm dreadfully behind, I'm still confident that I'll be able to catch up. Because once I know where the story is going, then I can type from brain to fingers that pretty quick. So so I could I can pretty easily, well, no, pretty easily, I can do 5,000 words a day if I need to. So that's okay.
That's great. For me, my epiphanies came from the reading that I've done this week. I've just been reading a lot. I finished The 10th of December by George Saunders. I think it was 10 of his short stories. Nice. And it was really interesting to read a number of his stories in a row, because you can definitely see his style and see his tone and see how he's playing with language. And there were some things that he was doing that were really applicable and interesting and creative, as far as like creative punctuation and things like that. And then I've been following a couple new booktubers that I just love. I binge watched a whole bunch of their videos, and I found one of his pieces called Bonnie and Hyde, and it's in a small like internet only like journal, but it was nominated for a pushcart, and I went ahead and read it. I was really, really surprised and really enjoyed it. And it's a little confusing and interesting, and it had like some really core emotions, and it made me feel a lot better about some of my stories where people are like, I'm not exactly sure what's happening. Because you don't always need to. And it definitely made me feel better about that. I wonder if some of the changes I've made to my story have actually made it weaker. That's something that I worry about.
Yeah.
And like if you're painting a picture and you just keep perfecting it until it just looks bland.
Yeah.
And that is something that I'm concerned about. So I'm definitely going to read through my story again. Since I have more time now, I'm going to give it a week, just not touch it, and then read through both my old version and my new version and see, does it still have the vibrancy? I may even just send you the new version and see, does it still feel vibrant, or does it feel more deadened in my quest for clarity?
Yeah. No, I see, and I think there's this sort of feeling, isn't there, that the true story is the one that comes out first, and it may be flawed and it may have technical issues, but the story is what you feel, and it's that, you mustn't lose sight of that you mustn't over workshop it and over edit it and round off all the sharp
and lose your voice. And like towards the end of the story, I have several lines that are actually in present tense, and I went ahead and moved into past tense because the rest of the story is in past tense, and it totally fucked with the poetics of the story. Pardon my French. Like the poetics of the language doesn't ring like it did, and so I'm thinking about going ahead and changing that back now that I have more time.
Okay.
So we will see. It's hard though to know when you're done. How do you know when you're revising something? How do you look at it and say, this is as much revision as we'll get? Like, when do you know that you're losing more than you're gaining if you keep revising?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that I guess that comes with practice. I know Dean Wesley Smith just does. He sends out his first draft, apart from some copy editing and a read through, but he doesn't revise and polish, and he just writes it and out it goes. So I think
that's a mindset I have no familiarity with. Like, as a literary writer, I cannot imagine sending even my second drafts out into the world. Like, there's so much tinkering that I can do. I don't understand. It confuses me. I know Chrissy does that too. Like, what she writes tends to be really, really clean. And so she can just go through and like clean up some grammar here and there and send it out. And I'm sitting there, do you know I spent 2 hours on a sentence?
No.
And then I cut it.
Ah. 2 hours.
I'm like, the sentence isn't working. The sentence isn't not working. I'm fiddling, I'm rearranging. I'm like,
Oh.
these are the right words. Get in order. and then I was like, oh, that next sentence works really good as a first sentence. Never mind.
Bye-bye. Kill your darlings. Wow. Maybe you should write like a piece of flash fiction and take your very first draft, put it to one side, work on it, and you say, yeah, I'm done with this. Put that to one side, and then say a month or 6 months later, just look at the two, read the two, and think which works better.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons, why the raft, the short story that I published, took me, I was revising that for 2 years, but I wasn't like revising it for 2 years. I would revise it for a week and then set it aside for a month, 2 months, 3 months, and then come back to it. And it was interesting because I would set it aside and I think, this is the best thing I've ever written. And then I'd pick it up. I was like, oh my goodness, it's crap.
I know.
And then I fixed it. I'm like, it's the best thing I've written.
And you look at it and think, how could I thought this was any good? It's totally rubbish. I know. Oh, writers, what are we like? That's why I think if you could get to the stage where you just write something and quick ones through and then be done with it, I think that would be cool. I think
that would be cool. I just don't know how feasible that is for literary writing.
No, I don't think so. I think,
like, I think about it. I know, like, Clockwork Orange was written in a week, but Clockwork Orange was at its core sci-fi. It just happened to transcend. There was something else there, and he didn't even mean for it to be there. That was an accidental literary masterpiece that he spent the rest of his life hating.
Yeah.
He hated that book. He wrote it because he needed money. And then the rest of his life, every time anyone interviewed the poor man, they wanted to bring up Clockwork Orange. He's like, I hate the book. Can't you bring up something else?
Excellent. Yeah, I can imagine. Oh,
that would be so irritating. Spend years on another novel and then they just want to bring up something that you wrote in a week.
Yeah. That. But what about this? Oh, it's crap. No, it's funny. I don't know. So yeah.
So you mentioned that you're working on another longer piece now.
Well, it came out of a writing group. We did this exercise. I think I may have mentioned it before. We did this exercise where of the group, I think there were 3 guys and 5 women, something like that. So the women came up with a male character, and the guys came up with a female character, name and age, and so you create this with about 5 or 6 statements about them. You create this vague character, and then you have to put them together in some way. And we did this months and months ago, and we did it again this last week. And it's I don't know. I thought, well, I could write a story about this and this, and all of a sudden there was a lot of complexity in what I was thinking of writing. And I thought, whoa, this is too much to. And I started thinking, oh, that's something I could explore, and this is something I could explore, and it had a sort of bit of everything in it. It had a bit of race, it had a bit of gender issues, and I thought this could be a longer piece, and I don't know how much longer, but for me, a longer piece is more than 200 words, I think. But
oh, give yourself some credit. You've written some 1,000-word flashes. Yeah. I think your thing for next year is going to be learning to write longer short stories. I think you've gotten into this flash fiction thing.
Yeah.
I like the way you use language. I would like to see some longer work from you. Not that I'm prodding or being maternal or anything.
Not at all. No, not at all. Bullying me.
Your poor wife. You must go home and just complain about us.
That mild me again.
Now she's gonna make me submit a story. Dang it! I didn't sign up for this.
I don't want to do this. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
We're a common good, so that's good. Yeah. So yeah, maybe I should, and maybe I should sort of not just because I've written so many very, very short pieces that I sort of feel comfortable with it. So maybe I have to push myself out of my comfort zone and add more stuff and have bigger stories and explore them, right? 2,000 to 3,000 words or something.
Yeah.
I should do that.
I think you've gotten to the heart of it. I don't know. I like writing flash. I mean, it's interesting. It's like this happy middle between poetry and a story, because I cannot write narrative poetry to save my life. I've tried a couple times. It was so bad.
Yeah.
Like it was like something you would assign to like a third grade class. It was that bad. So narrative poetry isn't happening, but I can do a flash fiction, but it's not my first love. I've done them as exercises. I like the flash that I have on my website. I need to go back and revise it because I'm a much better writer now than I was when I wrote it.
Yeah.
That's another issue. But it was interesting. One thing I did enjoy playing with was flash memoir.
All right.
Yeah, I was sitting there, I'm writing this flash fiction. I'm like, I could do this for memoir. And so I started writing these little flash memoirs. And I like that more than flash fiction. I had a lot of fun writing flash memoir.
So it's like just single scenes from your past or something.
Like it's just a flash fiction, only it's real. It's stuff that's actually happened. It's like fictionalized memoir. What do they call it? Narrative memoir? No. Creative memoir? I don't know. It's memoir with dialogue.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It's memoir with a disclaimer.
Yeah, that would work. Yeah.
But I've got a couple of them up on my website, and I would think I want to write more of those. They don't really work for this podcast because they're not fiction, but they use all of the techniques of fiction. Okay. Like you're still using dialogue, you're still using story, you're still finding an ending that's different and surprising and new, but you're pulling it from real life rather than making it up whole cloth. And through these stories, you're telling something. The two that I have on my website, I have 3 on my website. I have A Night Under the Lights, which is probably my favorite. The Thirsty Dinosaur is really funny. That one is about driving cross country with which, just saying that out loud, I did it twice. Been there, done that. Got like all the stains in the car seats. And then I have a third one. So I'm thinking I might want to write more of those. The idea of writing a big memoir is just, but the idea of writing these little snippets of life, which really is how we remember things anyway. We remember them in snippets.
Yeah.
I think I want to do more.
That's interesting.
Do you know anybody else that's writing flash fiction size memoirs?
No, I know someone who was running a course on I think she called it Write Your Life, about writing memoir and biography, and that's autobiography. But I'll see her tomorrow, and I'll mention flash memoir, because that's an easy way of getting into autobiography.
Did I just invent a whole new genre? That's what I want to know.
Maybe.
Because these stories are several years old. Did I really, I'm sure somebody, David Sedaris, don't most of his essays, he's an essayist, but they're kind of fiction. They're kind of like a story, each one.
Yeah. That's interesting. Good thing.
We're all pondering. Gerald, you need to write a memoir, because I know you've got it. What? Did you just say Jesus? Did you just curse and mutter under your breath? Am I not going to hear what you said until I read through the playback? I'm just going to be like Annie's chuckling when we can actually hear what you say under your breath. You know she does that, right?
Yeah, I know she does.
She's going back and she turns up. She's like, "He said that," and then she'll post it to me. Did you hear this? No, I didn't hear it. I couldn't hear it live, but I can hear it in recording.
I should remember to think the microphone is just a piece of that.
You need to cover the microphone before you call us all dumbasses.
I wouldn't do that. No. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
think, you know,
Hello.
I think we might almost be too much alike to do this, just the two of us.
I think so. I think so. Yeah, we just
Because we're like both trying to talk at the same time, and then we're like waiting for each other. It's kind of funny. So, Gerald, what is it that keeps you from going to a longer short story? What is it that keeps you at either flash fiction or novel?
I think when I have an idea for a piece of flash fiction, it's just a scene. So because I write my novels in scenes, so I think in my head, flash fiction is one scene of a story, or it's a story in a scene. But I think, and I was thinking the other day that and about the short story read this just now, the Asimov story, with like a number of different scenes, all interconnected, but and all showing a progression. What a great story it was, wasn't it? Anyway, I'm playing with you.
You are messing with me, man. You're just
Messing
messing
with
with
my
me.
head. I'm messing with you. So, so, so yeah, maybe that's maybe I need to get over the fact that a short story is more than one scene. Maybe I just need to have to show an arc, a story arc, a character arc with multiple scenes, and maybe that will get me over the hurdle of writing very short fiction.
When I write longer short stories, shoot me now. Just shoot me now. When I write longer short stories, I actually outline them just like I would a novel. I do act 1, act 2, act 3, just like a novel. And then I put one scene in each, and I'll go as high as 3 scenes in each. And that's how I outline them. And it sounds really regimented, and I think that's why almost all my stories are within a certain word range, because that's how I do my outlines, and my stories either end up being 2,000 word stories or 4,000 word stories, because they either have 3 scenes or 6 scenes, 3 scenes or 9 scenes, excuse me. And so, but what that does for me is it allows me to create an arc and still acknowledge the moment. So when I think of a short story, I think of a moment, and I think of a meaning. Like, what is that moment trying to tell me? And then I come up with the other pieces to tell that story. And in the process, I end up finding other stories underneath it. And I guess it's kind of the same as a novel process. It's just in miniature.
Yeah.
Whereas when I write flash fiction, I still do act 2, act 1, act 1, act 2, act 3. Yeah, I do with flash fiction. Wow. And I do 3 scenes. It's just that each of the 3 scenes, when I first write it, each scene is like 500 words. And then I go back and I start deleting.
Right.
Anything that's redundant, anything that's telling too much, anything that is assuming my readers are stupid and can't figure it out for themselves, all of that, I just go and delete it. And that's how I write my flash fiction.
Okay. It's interesting that you plan. I know you said before that you plan your short stories, and I just think that's just.
You're like, what?
You plan your short fiction, but yeah, that would make total sense. Like I've done with this thing that I did this week, and I drew a little diagram of the relationships between the various people, and there's a cast of about 6-7 people. And 2 families basically, and by writing out what I think would happen, I think just from the vague outline that I have, I think that's probably about 4,000 words or something like that. So I don't think there's enough to make it into a full novel, but I think a good sized short story could come out of it. So
a little novelette or a novella or
whatever, one of those categories. I can't.
Those categories are so arbitrary, because then we pick short stories from like Alice Munro, and it'll be like 8, 10, 11,000 words. That's like,
Yeah.
and they'll say it's a short story. I'm like, that's not a short story.
Yeah.
Like if
get
I
it.
submit a short story to a journal, I can find a journal that might take up to like 8,000 words, 9,000 words if I'm really searching. And there's only going to be a couple. Most of them want between 2 and 4,000 words.
Yeah. And I think for most journals, I think longer works just take too long to read. It's if you have a lot of submissions.
Yeah, one story required actually asks for longer works, and that's because they only are publishing one story.
Right. Yeah.
And so when they publish a short story, they want it to be meatier, they want it to be really special, and they also have a really high level of pushcart prize submissions. Someday.
Maybe. Keep working at it.
I have a lot of work to do, especially after reading some of the other authors that have been nominated, not even winners, just nominated.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I suck.
Well, yeah, it's a skill that has to be learned, and
Well, here we are at 25 minutes, and
wow.
the hammering's getting louder.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you, do you have anything you want to read today?
No, sorry.
No?
No.
Okay, I'm going to wait until he takes a break to do my outro because I can't edit sound over that. So I want to thank you, Charlie.
Don't you just want to shout, shut the up?
Yes!
Yes. I guess.
It's funny because I was planning on reading a section from a story where I still had my rough draft versus my new draft. Actually, I might be able to.
Okay.
It sounds like maybe it's been halted. Because I thought that might be really interesting because, I don't know, a lot of times when I hear people say, yeah, I'm revising, and then you look at what they've done, they've only really changed like commas and paragraphs. You know what I mean?
That's
and when you revise, at least to me, I'm taking the story that I have on paper and recognizing that initial story is not the best story.
Yeah.
And I'm taking that and I'm trying to make it better. And it takes me so much time, but that's what I've got.
Yeah.
So I've taken the same section from my rough draft versus my last draft. This is the story Sunset at Congo Square. So in my rough draft for this section, it starts, traitor, look at you standing with the man. You will always be a black man. Vi looked around to find the voice, but there were too many. Another voice responded from the crowd. Leave him alone. He's a victim too, a victim of the system. So that was my initial draft.
Okay.
So the current draft I'm working on starts, traitor, look at you. You'll always be a black man. Vi's stomach tensed and a cool shiver moved in waves across her skin. She looked behind to find the voice, but there were too many. The air tasted thick and her heart pounded. Zach drifted too far to grasp, carried by the current of anger. Anxiety settled in her chest, and she wondered if this terror, this new dread, was something new to those around her, if, like everything else, she was always the last to know.
Yeah, definitely. The second one, definitely better.
So different, and it's not always about making it longer. Like, a lot of times, like, I'll just cut whole things or I'll just delete whole portions. Like, if you notice, I deleted part of the dialogue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, the dialogue that initially was there was actually transposed from dialogue I heard in the French Quarter.
Right.
So then it's like, do I need that redundancy? No. Delete. And that's how I went about that revision. And when I compare my original story to the version I'm working on now, it is so dramatically different in many ways.
And revising is sometimes about bringing clarity to the story as well. And making the words match your internal vision of the story that you're telling.
And also getting closer to your character, because a lot of times when I write my rough draft, I'm nervous about the story, or I don't think I can do it, or whatever that internal BS is. And when I go back and revise, a lot of times I'm looking at something, I'm like, there's too much distance there. what am I really trying to say? Just say it. Like stop filtering.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, on that note, I want to thank you, Gerald. This
Thank you.
was fun. I don't think we've ever done one, just the two of us.
No, we haven't.
Just
It was
the
cool.
two of us.
Just a
We
cozy
can
little
kick
chat.
it if we try. Just the two of us. You knew that was going to happen eventually.
I don't know if you have it over there, but over here we have a thing called dad dancing, which is a horrible thing. Yeah, it's just dads dancing. So
Yeah, we have it here, but that's not what we call it.
Okay.
We call it something else, but we're not going to go there today.
No, not today.
So I want to thank all of our listeners, all of our viewers. If you would like to learn more about Literary Roadhouse, look at our other shows, support our podcast so that we can get an audio editor up in this place, please visit literaryroadhouse.com. Ciao.
Bye.
Stop the broadcast.